Okay, it's 5:30, so we can start our JavaCon December meetup. Hi guys, welcome to the JavaCon online meetup. It's great to have you guys here tonight, and I will be shortly joined by David Santana, who I will introduce in just a minute. Now, for those of you who might be joining us for the first time, about us, we are a community of people who want to excel their skills in Java. I am welcoming you today on behalf of Paweł Niewęgłowski, who is a leader of JavaCon community. Now here you can see a contact handle, so if you want to send any questions or any ideas to Paweł, please be sure to use that email address. These are some photos of our live meetups. So this is how it used to look like when we were able to meet in person. We sure hope to go back to this setting one day. For now, we will be meeting online, but be sure to check our socials in 2022. Maybe we'll be able to meet you guys in person. As you can see, we meet in most cool locations, in different locations, and always a lot of people join us. Now you can see some of the leaders of our community and Paweł Niewęgłowski. If you guys want to see some more information about our meetups, be sure to check our profile on Meetup and also Facebook and also Instagram. Just try to look for JavaCon online meetup and you should be finding us really easily. And here you can see our today's sponsor. We are proudly supported by Luxoft. Thank you so much for supporting our community. Today we also have a competition, or actually two competitions for you guys. You can win Jabra headphones and a power bank. I will be putting a link to our contest in a chat shortly. Just let me get that link. In a few minutes, you will have the link to this competition. Be sure to take part in it because the prizes are really cool. And now you can see our speaker today is David Santana, who will be talking about steps for the Java certifications in 2022. Now, David Santana is an IT project manager master with 14 plus years of work experience and 18 plus years of university studies. He is a professional with 3 master's degrees, specializing in technological project management, software construction, project management, Canadian PMI orientation, and IT management. Some other details about his profile include being a software project leader, software architect and engineer, consultant and expert in software and enterprise architecture as a strategy to develop the organizations. He has experience in different industries, for example, banking, private and investing, insurance, software, automobile, in strategic vision of technology, entrepreneurship and achievement orientation in technology projects, likeness for management, control and monitoring of teams and software projects. Now, the bio that we have of David Santana is quite impressive, so be sure to check out our links, our socials where we put David's bio, and I hope that David tells you guys something more about his experience, about his achievements, because it's quite an impressive list. Now, if you guys have any questions to our speaker regarding what he will be talking about during the next almost an hour, be sure to leave your questions in the comments below. Also, you can send your questions to us, for example, via our Facebook site. We will then put them in the Q&A session. So I will be joining you guys back in about an hour to do the Q&A session live. Now joining us is David. Hello, David. Are you here with us? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Hi, Dave. Actually, I can't hear you, but
Yeah, sorry. Now you can.
great.
So thank you
Now,
very much for the introduction. It was really nice again to see all of you here. I'm going to start my presentation, so let me switch off the camera for a second and share my slides, okay? Okay, so now you should be watching my slides. Then, okay, so wait, you're sharing another application window, so it's fine. So yeah, as you hear, then my name is David Santana. We have been in contact for quite a few sessions before. As mentioned, I have had the pleasure to work with different projects all around the globe, especially with software technology projects. As a professional. I studied mathematics and computer science, and I was a Java programmer for a couple of years, also tester, also a business analyst, software architect, and software manager. So I really enjoyed the software industry, and I think today I would like to share with you some of the uh, information about how to get the Java certification in 2022. This comes from one of our previous sessions. So we were discussing about the importance of different different programming languages, and we were talking about Java and the impact and the front end, back end, and different technologies. And someone just asked, or there was repetitive questions about how important was Java. We also create a session for that, explaining in which industries or what are the potential that we can deliver through Java language. And now the topic today is how we can get the official certification from Java. So for that, we need to understand first, again, who is sponsoring Java at the moment, who can deliver that certification, what certifications are on the market, how we can prepare that. It's a it's a long journey, but it's not difficult. It's just a matter of organization and having the right resources. Because the problem with Java is that there are 26 years of material in the net. It means that a lot of material is there, and then for you to gather all this information could take months, and then to be prepared another year. So that's not the idea, because by the time you finish the study and so on, maybe Java is already in another version. So what I want to consolidate here is the experience that I have had with my teams, my personal experience as well, and from my team developers who are certified. So all these tips I want to share with you here in order to accelerate your process to get the official certification. I will start the conference talking about what are the chances for you to have, let's say, exciting projects with Java, why this certification is actually needed, and where to find the primary sources. Then we will move through the sort of topics that you can find inside of the test, how you can get the, or how you should prepare for the simulation test, how you should prepare for the day of the test, what are the parameters you should consider, and finally, how we can build a space to consolidate questions and answers for the Java certification. So please bear with me here in the presentation. In case of any question, you can transmit that through our social networks here in the live stream, or also via my Facebook account or my email account that you can see in the screen. Yeah, okay, so let's start. I assume that you're listening to me with no problem. I'm just checking here the chat, everything is fine. Okay, so let's go to the point of view. There are different perspectives of why we should get certified, which version, what is the focus, what is the path after the certification, and so on. So I don't want to take all the roads at the same time. So what I'm going to give here is the perspective of me and my teams, so the projects that I have been involved in, and my viewpoint about these resources. But of course, the idea here is not just me to present all the tips and say, okay, that's it, but it's basically to say, okay, this is the tips that we have consolidated with my teams. But if you have found a shortcut or more important resources, or actually you can share a set of questions and answer, or I don't know, if you have really valuable information as well, feel free to share here, or to argument here. Then that's the idea as well. Thank you again to our team for allowing me to give this presentation, to our sponsor. We have been working for a long time, and as it was mentioned before, I hope to do that again in presence one day soon. Okay, so why do we need to consider this Java certification? As we were discussing, there are different zones that we are experimenting when we are working in IT projects. And as you know, we were floating with thousands of new frameworks, languages, books, information projects, and so on. So there is a point when you're working, and after some years of experience, you realize that all the time everything is changing. So you feel a bit disencouraged to continue working in a specific path that is new. So you want to grab to the technology that you already know. The problem with that is that you can be either in the fear zone or the comfort zone, which both are okay in most of the other industries, but in our IT industry is actually quite risky because everything change every 3 to 5 years. So uh, when I started with Java, that was Java 1.2, and since that we are already now in Java 15. What I have seen in the projects is that everything is totally different. It's not even incremental; it's radically different. It means that if I would be still working in Java 2, maybe I will have nothing to do at the moment because no one is working in the same type of developments for more than 13 years or something like that. Even companies that are grabbing or trying to stay in the legacy models are improving the way they program. So most of the technologies or the tools they use to develop are also changing a lot. So my advice here is to go to the learning zone and growth zone, but with you have to also consider that the time is some resource that is very limited. Yeah, so you cannot learn all the new technology that are appearing because most of them will die in the next 2 or 3 years. My advice is for you to focus on these technologies that are okay. That sounds promising as well, yeah, but that you can see there are a lot of projects and they are more or less mature in the market. So a 26-year-old language like Java for sure is very mature, and you are going to find that in the internet with a lot of case studies. Yeah, why Java? So again, feel free to go to our other sessions. We were discussing different programming languages, and we explained the focus of Java. We said also that there are some type of projects nowadays that are more oriented to other languages, or seems to be. But I mean, in our discussions, we were demonstrating that Java is still relevant even in the cool industries, let's say. So if you are working in automobile, banking, biochemical, manufacture, government, in all the main industries, Java is still one of the most important player, if not the most important player in the market at the moment. So I will actually encourage you to keep working on Java, but focus on what kind of knowledge you should get. So some things that you need to know about the Java certifications, as everything in the software industry is not that easy, and it's not only about the kind of questions, it's about the magnitude of topics that you can find in the exam. It's about the different sets of, let's say, questions or knowledge packages that you will find. Most of them are out of date or deprecated. It means that you can be studying with the wrong tools that are going to actually take to a wrong path in the test. In the past, in Java, let's say 1.4 or 1.5, some types of strategies for questions and answers in the certifications were used, not anymore. So if you study in the same way or with these old materials, most probably you will not find those questions in Java 11, for example, but you will find actually questions that were designed to make you fail based on this knowledge that you're using all materials. Why? I don't know, but this is the information we have collected. It means that, for example, in the past, there were more oriented to typos. For example, if you have the semicolon at the end of the line, or if the for was with, I don't know, with not the correct brackets and these kind of things. That's not the case anymore. So we are the Oracle, which is the provider that is giving the official sponsor for Java, has changed the strategy. And in one of the latest conferences, they say that actually these type of questions are no longer in the exam. So we are not checking, or they are not checking that we remember every syntax is in the project, in the code. They're also not checking that we memorize every single of the 50 something keywords and that we can spell them in seconds. They are just trying to understand if we dominate, of course, the programming language in the basis, like structures and loops and this kind of stuff, but also about the main libraries. So this is the new focus of the Java certification. So please, as we always say here in our conferences, don't be so naive. Like, remember, Java is only a technology which is also propense to have fails or failures. Yeah, it's also so big that some frameworks can be found many times, or some libraries can be found many times in different frameworks, more or less with the same performance but different specification. So there are many ways. What I'm trying to say here is that there are many ways to achieve the same in Java through different paths. So there is no such thing as this is the perfect path. The same for the certification and the same for the way that you are working with the language. Okay. What is important to know here, what they want to see in the certification sometimes is not intuitive because it's what is happening behind the scenes, behind the curtains. So most of the time we are using templates from our favorite IDE, let's say IntelliJ IDEA, Eclipse, I don't know, and we are ignoring most of the things that are hidden or that are already default or that are already there for us. Yeah. So, for example, most of the imports, most of the library management, most of the auto completion tasks are facilitating our job or our life as programmers, but it's also hiding for us what is happening in Java inside of the virtual machine. So it's not that difficult nowadays to find new talent programming, but talent that has no clue about what is a virtual machine, what is a garbage collector, what are the main libraries of Java. Although they are very good using one or two libraries or very good in algorithm, for example, they actually don't understand what is the secret sauce of Java, what makes Java different to other languages. For example, its security capabilities, its robustness, is independence of platforms. These things are there, are running, usually are invisible for us, but sadly sometimes it's also invisible for the new programmer. So these kind of things you need to know in order to pass the certification, because Java is a good tool, but it's just a tool. So at the end, if you put the wrong or the false resources into the tool, let's say into the programming language, you are going to also get garbage at the end of the project. So saying that, you need to know, for example, the difference of collections. You need to know when to apply parallelism, when the parallelism is actually not that performant. You have to know how to work with the files, how to work with the protocols that work with HTTP, how to create web services, how to create endpoints, REST APIs, or WSDL APIs. What are the new specifications? What is the difference between, or what is not the difference, but what are the basis of the Java Standard Edition? And you don't need to learn, for example, the Enterprise Edition for the first certification, which is very difficult at the beginning to understand which part is of which part. But here is the tip number 2, and it's don't panic if you don't learn everything in Java. I mean, every single topic of the Standard Edition, because it's so huge, Java, that maybe you can take 2 years to get a full preparation in the exam. What you need to know is how you are going to use the majority of these resources, how you are going to understand the majority of these categories, and how can you pass the exam. So I will not recommend you the perfect exam, because the perfect exam for me also, it does not make sense, not only for me but for the companies. No one is going to ask you, are you certified in Java with 100% of the questions correct? They are just going to ask you, are you certified in Java or not? Yeah. And then the threshold at the moment is 69%, I guess. So if you have more than 69% of the questions correct, then you're certified, and no one is going to ask if it was 100% or not, because actually that would be, from my perspective, a bit suspicious. Why someone dedicates so much time to pass a certification when this is only the proof that you dominate the tool, not that you are actually um be super efficient or giving a project to the end in the best way possible. You can have all the tools, but if you don't know how to use them, or if you don't want to use them, then at the end it's not that relevant. So the certification is only going to prove to the world that you know Java as a set of libraries and as a programming language, that you know the main libraries, that you know the way to build software. That's what you can certify with this certification. It's not about how good are you in algorithms. It's also not that how you are mixing all these libraries. It's also not proving how you efficiently are using the resources inside of a project, how you can combine your skills of other languages in a project, how uh, successful in economical terms this project is. Any of this is at least in the first Java certification measure. Even not the enterprise edition is measured in the first exam. Here is only the basis of the Java language. For that, you need to remember that Java will be relevant in your project only when your software structure is defined. But if you don't know the capabilities of Java, then your software structure cannot consider them as a key factor. So I highly recommend you, if you're going to do the certification in Java, let's suppose that is for your work, get in contact with your software architect or the software architecture team in your project or in your department, and tell them about these characteristics, these features of Java inside of the projects, new projects or common projects or current projects. So they can tell you, okay, yeah, we are trying to get this or that, or I don't know, this of that functionality or implementation, and that's why we are going to use Java here, but only the mobile edition, or only the enterprise edition, or only enterprise, but we are going to use Spring because the injection dependency management, this kind of thing. So you can also know why you are certifying your knowledge in the programming language Java. Yeah, because that's only the first step. Today we are going to see how we can get certified in the first step, but I will also show you that there are different branches after you get this certification, which are also a long path that we are not going to discuss today, but that's basically what we want to found today. Let me see if I have any question. No, so far so good. Great. So, important thing that you need to know: not all the team that if you're a leader of the software and you want all your developers to get certified in Java because you're using Java projects, I would recommend you also to protect the time of your resources, because what I have seen in other projects or companies is that usually they say, okay, I will pay you the certification, but you have to do it in your free time, and bye bye, see you. Here is the voucher for your exam, and there is no other support, right? I mean, the support of the money buying the certificate is good. We thank the companies for that, but I also think it's not that difficult to provide them a space or resources, or at least links or orientation how they should do that, right? So that's why we need to have or give them, or yeah, allow them to have a context of why the Java certification is useful, why they are doing that, not only to guarantee that their developers are up to date with the technology, but also to guarantee that the architecture proposed can be satisfied with the tools we have. So recapitulating here, we have the statistics of how Java is still relevant, and we check that. I mean, all these links are already shared in the previous presentations, but also I will share that today in the social media channels, and also through Luxof. There is no problem in all these links, so you don't need to take screenshots and try to do the the scan of this text. I will send you all these links. So as you can see, Java basically is still one of the most relevant languages. One of the reasons to get certified is because there are a huge demand still for Java. There are a lot of people that are actually working in Java for many years, but they still don't know the potential of Java. To understand that, it's a bit difficult at the very beginning. It's quite normal for us working in Java projects after some years, but at the very beginning, if you're new here in the Java world, you will realize why some people that are working in Java for 5 or 6 or 7 years are not yet certified, and sometimes they cannot get certified because they failed the exam. And then someone working with 1 year can get the certification, and then you get totally confused because you say like, oh, why? How is it possible? And then let me remind you that the certification of Java measure how good you understand the set of tools that the Java programming language is giving, not about how you are performing as a programmer inside of a project, how good you work with other programmers, what are the best patterns and practices that you use inside of the application, how effectively you manage your time when you're programming. Nothing of that is measured in the Java certification. So let's say, although the correlation is high, it's not one to one. So you can be fully senior in programming and still not pass the exam. In the same way, you can be totally noob in software projects and you can still get the certification. The idea here is that you will be both, right? So you will be a good engineer and that proof that you have the set of tools in Java, the knowledge of the set of tools that Java offers. Yeah. Uh, First, one tip that I can give you is try to check what the frameworks are doing for you behind the scenes. It's a simple way to learn Java. I mean, the basis of Java, the fundamentals of Java is check the logs of, or check templates, or check actually what code is generated for you in your different frameworks or IDEs. Most of the time they are not obfuscated or hidden or something, so you can see what imports is your IDE doing, what resources the dependency manager is giving or bringing, like Maven or Gradle or whatever you're using. So you can understand more or less what a module is, for example, what is a class path, um, how the heap and the stack are compound, when the garbage collector is running, what are the different algorithms for garbage collection or methods. You can actually monitor your virtual machine. There are plenty of things that the IDEs already provide you. You usually don't do that in a normal project because you are just focusing deliver. But if you want to learn, this is quite easy. Take whatever project you are already doing and then just check what the IDE is building for you, the structure of packages, the way that you are calling the interfaces, the dependency managers, and so on. Also, if you're working with frameworks, check the specification of the framework. Usually the framework itself, even that can hide some things, explain you what are the libraries or tool or patterns that they are using from the Java framework. So it's easy for you to understand, oh, okay, so when I'm using a remote object here via GNDI, then internally is this pattern. Or when I'm using here a proxy, internally I'm doing that. Or when I'm having here a listener. So if you read the documentation of your framework, usually it gives you a lot of ideas what Java is doing behind the scenes, and you can get more idea than just reading a book and memorizing. Yes, okay, there is some library called Java Servlet or these kind of things. If you understand more or less, oh, okay, so when I invoke service operation HTTP in my internal web server, actually a socket is created and a URL is mapped, and then some thread is listening for through the port 80 in my Java application, and this is captured by the framework and then sent to the servlet, and servlet is redirecting to the API. Whatever, this kind of information you can find in any of the frameworks that are working with Java. And yeah, regarding money, some other questions we were having from different sessions was okay, but there are other languages that are paying more, and yeah, and so what? Like, yes, there are frameworks that are paying more at the moment, basically because they are new, not because their certification it's more difficult, more complex, technically deeper or something. It's basically because the market is providing new projects for these new programming languages, let's say. There are not enough people, so how can you know that someone has the experience in a specific language? So in new frameworks and languages, it's you cannot request, or you can, but it doesn't make sense, 5, 6, 10 years of experience in languages or frameworks that are 2 or 3 years old, right? So a way to prove that is through the certifications. Some people say, okay, but if I have been working in Java for many years, why do I need the certification? And here the answer is what I said at the very beginning, because Java is evolving so fast that you can be working and be really senior and proficient and fluent and good performance developer in Java 1.2, but it does not mean or has no correlation that you have idea how to do a microservice or how to work with the lambdas or how to do parallelism in Java 14, for example. So it does not mean that you're a bad developer. It just, the certification just shows to the market or to your team or to your recruiters that that specific language, Java, in that specific version, you know the set of tools that are basic. That's the only thing. So, and that's something that it not most of, not no most of the people have. Like many people have been working with Java, but very few people have an updated certification. So that's one of the motivations to get the certification. The second one is that as Java is so old and the projects with Java are so old, experienced developers with the certification tend to earn more than the new trend frameworks and languages. And also, if you extrapolate the data from legacy projects, if you see, for example, the trend of C, C++, and COBOL, all projects nowadays, the market is going up because the people who were working in those projects 30 years ago are already retired, so they are not working anymore in that. And the few that still remain, they can charge a lot of money. So with Java, it will happen the same. The more Java is evolving, the more projects are still in previous versions of Java. And Java is so popular and so important for these companies that they are not going to throw to the garbage all of these projects. They need to upgrade them, and for that they need people experience in those Java times and the new Java times. So a good way to show you for you to show to the companies that you know both worlds, for example, is to show that you have experience in the Java world 5 years ago, but you are up to date in the Java certification today. So you can do these migration projects. Good. Things that they will ask in the exam about the platform independency, maybe not directly, because the basic of Java, that is platform independent and object oriented programming, that you know what is a class, that you know polymorphism, that you know what is a method, what is an attribute, what is a data type. This kind of information were in previous versions of the exam, but not anymore. So no longer required that you know that much. No. Yeah, okay, let me rephrase this. It's no longer required that you show that you know the basic of programming, the basic of object-oriented programming, the basic of algorithm in independency platform systems. They just assume that you need to know that, so they are not asking for that in the exam. What you need to know, what are they asking, is to follow the communities of the specific version you are going to get certified. And this is something we discuss in other sessions, and it's the fact that the community is evolving with the versions, and there are many people working still with frameworks or with versions that are not the most recent one, and they need to migrate this information, and you need to know that projects in Java 1.4 are not the same as projects in Java. I cannot see the other slides. Okay, again, it doesn't matter. So you need to know when or what version of the specifications you need to learn. So, for example, if you are certifying Java 1.5, 1.7, 1.8, these certifications are no longer valid, not only because from the money perspective, Oracle removed them from the list, but also because the technologies used there were already improved or updated or totally retired in the new specifications of Java. So the one that makes more sense for us to get certified, at least for my perspective, my team's perspective, it's Java Standard Edition 11, which is the initial point from the let's say LTE version of Java that is most stable and most used at the moment in the industry. If you check in previous seminars we have, or it's easily in Google, or in, yeah, if you check in internet, you will see that there are a lot of versions of Java, but the most stable and updated at the moment is the 11 one. Yeah. Good. So basically, I will explain how you can find these exams in the platform. The idea is that you take the ISET 0819, which is the Java Standard 11 Developer Certification, the basic one, which is already replacing the Programmer 1 and Programmer 2 and all the few others for the Java 8, for example, from the Java 5, from the Java 7, etc. Okay, so at the moment, if you're still here in the conference, it means two things. Either A, you have knowledge in Java projects, but you still don't have the certification. So you need to know what things you need to learn to pass the exam. Or B, you love Java, you still don't have the experience, but you want to know how you can pass the exam even without having this experience of many years working in software development projects. So at this point, you should be aware that both are possible, because I explained here the certification is only about to know the set of tools that the language is offering, not how many projects have you been working and how senior you are doing software development. Good. So the first thing you need to know is you need to, okay, Google and realize that Oracle is the owner of Java. Java is for free. Java is a language that was born free. In some microsystems, Sun Microsystem was acquired by Oracle, and that therefore Oracle is sponsoring and handling and managing all about Java lifecycle. Java is still free. You can still learn for free. You can. The certification is not for free, of course, but sometimes it is. I will explain you that later. But you need to know that the official one is the Oracle one, and the one that we actually check all around the world is the Oracle one, because it also happened that in different sessions and also in some of my teams, there were some, I would not say scams, because maybe they were official entities, but I mean, real organizations that were giving some training in Java and giving some diploma that you actually learn Java or something. But being honest, the only one certification that works is the one of the provider in this case. So you consider yourself Java certified when you get the Java certification officially, not some school, institute, or website that say, yeah, I explain you Java, right? So for you, you have to create an Oracle account. That's the only reason. It's not because you need to acquire something from Oracle, but because the certification in general and the material officially is offered by the Oracle community, even though that Java is for free. So you have to create your profile. Remember to put all the information here clearly, because this is going to be replicated into the view and into the cert view. So it means that if you put here like, okay, I'm dark Martian 102 or these kind of things, Oracle will let you create this account, but then this information will go to your diploma, and then you cannot use it in in your CV or in your organization. So please try to bear that in mind. Another link useful for you is locate, of course, the version you want to do it. I'm going to just talk about the Java OCP 11, OCP, OCA, and all these other differences I explain in my YouTube channel, but also I think we were discussing that here in lots of previous sessions. So if not, these are just the degree of the certification. Could be associate, uh, professional, or master. Associate means more or less you have some idea that the product exists, but not technically, let's say. OCP, which is the global one, or the one that we all want to achieve, is the one that proves that you're professional in the use of Java. And master, it means that you all not only know about the use of Java, but you also can fix problems that are not even in the books or um, in the common specification of the language. I'm not so sure actually if OCM, the master, is available for Java, but this is more or less some Oracle category or classification. So let's return here. We will have this link to get the Java SE 11 developer 819, which is the official code. As you can see, as of today, if you're seeing this in video, maybe I will let you know that this was recorded in December 2021. So as of today, the price is 210 euros, 9 euros, and the passing score is 68%. It changed, especially with the COVID thing, it changed a lot. Usually it was 200, like for many years, 160 till 200. But in time of COVID, there were some boosters, let's say, or some promotions, and it has been 100, it has been 75, it has been 110, and so on. Because during the pandemic, there were some incentives from Oracle or from other partners saying, okay, I will give you the exam at very discount price if you buy the book or if you buy the subscription or things like that. So you have to be aware in the official website of Java, java.com, java.net, sorry, or in educationoracle.com, and you will see if there are some promotions active. I'm not saying that check every day or that don't get certified until one promotion is active, but you have to wait if there are some resources or links or material or sometimes even the possibility to retake the exam. It's also kind of promotion. So sometimes you can have these vouchers that are two for one or something like that. It means you pay the voucher, but you're allowed to take the exam again in case you fail, for example. So the voucher is still 210 euros, but if you fail, you can take it again. Of course, there are some rules that you need to read also in the website. It also varies from time to time, not that much, but it was, for example, that if you failed the exam, you could not take the exam immediately in the next X weeks. I don't remember, 6 weeks or something that I don't remember. I think that was removed during the pandemic. So I think you not need to wait just more than one day to reschedule your exam. However, you will realize later in this presentation that it's not that easy to get an appointment for the exam. So maybe you can retake the exam the very next day, let's say now, but you are not going to find any appointment in the next 3 months. It depends. It depends on the time of the year, but it's not that easy to find the appointment. That's my point. Okay. So here, for example, this promotion I already checked today. There is no longer available, but for the Java 25 anniversary, for example, we got a discount into the learning subscription to 0%. It means to 100%. It means that the learning subscription official was 0%, and the exam was discounted to 50 euros or something like that. So at the end, learning and voucher was in total 50 euros, which was the lowest price ever in the history of the certification. So it was a pity that for those who are listening now that you could not take that opportunity at that time. Being honest, I don't think this will be again. I mean, that description was basically because of the pandemic, and I hope that we don't need to repeat that again through another pandemic. So my advice is try to go to the cloud learning subscription and check there what of the courses of the Java path are enabled and which of them have some discounts. Maybe the whole path has no discount, but some of them, for example, the basics are for free. Or go to the YouTube channel, for example, official YouTube channel of Oracle Java, and sometimes they publish there the first videos of each of the classes, and with that you can give yourself a really good understanding of what are the content that they are using in the certification exam preparation, for example. So here I will give you also the link of the cloud learning subscription. Of course, you have to create first the Oracle account, but you can see here that, for example, if you check the modules regarding the cloud development, for example, right now they are for free. Even the certification of the cloud development is for free. Okay, but this is not related with our Java certification. But you can use the modules of cloud development to learn the basics of Java and also to know the strategy of Oracle to present the exam. I will show you that in a few. If we get out of the official path, that's going through the official path of Oracle. But let's say I want also to learn Java from non-official sources. Of course, you will find thousands in Google. Just write Java learn, and then you will find and find and find. But again, it will not also take your whole life taking and reading all of them, but also it will distract you from your objective because there are materials that are not longer valid or relevant. So I or allow me to recommend you two easy ways to get the basics of Java in short time, assuming that you have programming languages of programming language basis, so you know what is a computer, an algorithm, a for, a while, a if, these kind of things. So if you go directly to learn what is Java, then you can find also in different platforms at very low price, even for free sometimes. I have published for you these links here. In Udemy you can find some free courses. Also you can find some promotions in the Java SE 11 developer exam course, which is exactly describing the topics that we are going to certify. You can also find YouTube channels dedicated only to the Java certification. Some of them are very heavy to check because there are thousands of videos, but I can recommend this Java full course core, which is giving you the basis in case you don't have it. The learning subscription, for sure, there is a learning subscription just specific for Java, not only the Oracle learning subscription, but the sub branch, let's say, that is only for Java. At the moment, I don't know what is the cost because I already have paid for my learning subscription pack, which includes many technologies, so I cannot see the price. But if you go to this link, it will show you what is the price. At least I think there is free training for everyone, even if you don't pay the learning subscription. So from there, you can also find useful tips and information. Even if you cannot access to all of this material here for free, at least you can find the topics, and the topics are one-to-one with the certification, which is good because basically the same people that wrote or that moderate or create this content are the same people that are elaborating the the exam, let's say. So they sometimes in these videos give you even questions. I mean, I'm not saying that they are going to give you the same questions that appear in the exam, but they give you how do we call that, sample questions that open your mind to what kind of questions you could expect, and also the way that they are thinking to evaluate you in the language. That's quite useful, I would say. Also, there is a reference. There are thousands of reference books, but there is one reference book that is most popular for this certification. That is this OCP SE Complete Study Guide, which explains you even with questions from the exams 814, 815, 6, and 7. So all these Java exams. You can also find different materials in the internet about the questions and answers about Java, but I will talk about that later because it has some negative sides that you need to consider and are not that easy to see. Okay, give me a second. I'm going to check if there are questions. So far, so good. Let me know. I'm going to drink water in the meantime. If you have any questions or anything to share, you can do it now. I will be back in 30 seconds. Okay, I'm back. It was less than 30 seconds. Okay, so Oracle book Java. So we also have, if not the reference book, which is the most consumed one for the certification, you can also go to the complete reference specification directly from Oracle. This book is a heavy book, let's say. I mean, this one is more oriented to guide you through the whole certification path, how to prepare yourself for the type of exam, how to prepare yourself for the type of questions, how to work with the probabilities and so on, how to be fluent in to pass the exam, let's say. And this is more how to understand the complete framework of Java. So the Java language itself. So it's let's say it's a hard book. It's more. It's not about the exam itself. It's more about get to know Java, the different levels of the specification. Also, the links are published there. I think some of them you can also find discounts sometimes in the providers' web pages, but I'm not websites, but I don't know. Okay, also there are some specializations inside of Coursera that are explained really good, the fundamentals and the differences of programming language, of programming based on Java language, which I can recommend you from Duke University and from Princeton University, especially if you are working, for example, with Spring Boot or Spring Cloud. Already in your projects, there they explain more or less how is it working behind the scenes and give you the idea of how you can get certified. I mean, how you can get the basis and get certified. Okay, that's all the links that I wanted to share with you about materials. Now let's go into things that are not that obvious when you are going to the Java certification site. One is the typical questions: do I need to be the best not Java programmer, software engineer ever in the history, or have a very strong knowledge of different programming strategies, patterns, types? Let's say, do I need to know every single data structure and by memory or by heart the pros and cons of each of them? The answer is yeah, you should. That's good, but not for this certification. The answer is for this certification, you just need to know the core of programming, and you need to know that you have to focus on the Java tools, let's say Java libraries, Java way to perform the things, not in the software engineer perspective itself. So what does it mean? That you can be developing Java for years, you can be super senior, top-notch senior for 15 years in Java 1.2, 3, and 4. And if you take today the certification 11, highly probable you will fail the certification if you don't study, assuming. Because it's not that easy. They are not asking you about the software engineering stuff, but more about Java. Also, another thing that is not that clear is that without simulators, you're going to pass, because usually you can say, okay, I read the specification, I feel prepared for the specification, then you go the day of the exam, and then you see a platform where you're expecting maybe to code, you're expecting maybe that they tells you, okay, open IntelliJ IDEA and let's going to do this API specification where you transform the price of the dollar into euros. Simple use case. No, don't expect that. Like, the way they measure you in Java is different. It's through questions and multiple answers that you need to choose one, or yeah, usually one or multiple selections. But you don't need to actually run anything. You don't need to code. You don't need to design or create a complex algorithm. So the simulators here are key. Get familiar with the type of exam that is the Java certification. Get familiar with the simulator. Get familiar with the time. You are going to see the time running in the real exam. So get familiar with this pressure. Get familiar with the fact that you cannot resolve all the questions, and you have to more or less sense when you are using too much time in one question and just skip it. You can go that later, and I will show you how. So you need, of course, to understand the different paradigms that Java can cover, but you don't need to understand what is the difference of performance of each of the paradigms. Also, there are not going to be questions like this code is more declarative or imperative. How is the dependency injection for this or that? Or when you have the database and the database is communicating with you this and the protocol is that, this kind of integration information is not, you are not going to find it in the Java certification as well. So good for you to know, ideally to know, but not for the certification. So if you don't know, don't waste your time here. Try to go directly to the Yeah, to the functionalities. If you are already familiar with Java, if you're already working with Java and you say, okay, David, what you're saying here is that even though I'm senior developer in Java for 8 years in Java Legacy 1.2 and 4, it means that I need to learn in the same speed as a noob who has no idea about Java, then the answer is no, not really. Of course, your experience is going to work. Maybe you are prodigious and then you just pass the exam without the study. But what I'm saying here is that you can catch up quickly with the Java upgrades. And there are also pages for that. There are also books for that that says, okay, you need to know only the difference between the point that you were working on. Let's say you are fluent in Java 8 or in Java 6, and you say, okay, I want to certify in Java 11. Should I learn from scratch what is a class? No. There are things that you need to know, and is what has been replaced in the new specification of Java 9 or 10 or 11. What is new there? What is different there? And these upgrades are also possible to find on the internet. This is also, of course, shorter than for a noob to learn this, but I can recommend you, for example, this link where you can find quickly the most relevant changes among the last three specifications of Java. Also, you can go to the community of your preference and check there what are the improvements of the libraries they're working with. For example, for the JPA specification, persistence API, these kind of things, you can go directly to Red Hat, or you can go to Apache, or you can go into Oracle or something like that. Uh, Also, do not, how to say that, because usually I have seen that in the certification, people have doubts and say, no, 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 I'm not going to go study with Oracle because Oracle is too commercial, and then I don't want to learn these commercial things. And maybe you're right, but again, for Java is not the case. Remember, Oracle did not create Java, just absorb the company who create Java. And the community of Oracle is quite special because they are still independent, they are still for free. So I will recommend you to go to use the Oracle community, at least for Java perspective, because you will find quite useful information about the language without getting involving with Oracle, if you don't want, of course. So don't discard this information. Okay, so now let's go in for the tips from how to get the exam itself, the exam. So you need to create an account in Pearson View. Here's the link. Then you need to go here and create your account. Usually you can associate this with your Oracle account, I guess. So that's why it's important also that the value provided here, the information provided here is very, it's real, right? You can verify this information. They're also going to verify that in some cases we are doing some audits in the exam. So for some of you, they will request you, for example, to show your ID, to show yourself in the camera, to prove your that this ID is you, to prove that this expiration date is you. They're going to check, for example, in the, it depends on when you are doing where you are doing the exam. But if you go to a official test center, they're going to check that you have no electronic devices with you. They're going to check that you actually are there for the correct voucher exam. They're going to check with a camera the whole time that you are doing the exam. There is a camera in the roof pointing to you. They're going to also track what you are doing with the keyboard and mouse and so on. You cannot switch to any other application. So it's quite serious the way that they are taking this exam. So please, yeah, get used to that. So check on the internet how to do that, and then also manage your time and your pressure and so on. And I'm saying this because also in our teams, we have had people that are brilliant. They know the language, but they just get a bit stressed because of the way the exam is. But I think it's just a question of simple preparation. Also registering CertView. CertView is connected with the Pearson View, also connected with your Oracle account. And why you need to do this? Because once the certificate, once you present the exam, the results are coming directly to the CertView. It means that it's not like in the past or in other certifications that you need to take the certification and then wait for weeks for a letter or an email that's saying, yeah, you fail or you pass. In the CertView, usually you can get the details in the next hours or, yeah, after the exam. So the same day you can get the notification you fail. The diploma, maybe no. It takes more time, and it also depends on the certification on Oracle and the clips. I don't know. The day of the it's raining that day. I don't understand very well, but it depends on different things. The diploma can be faster or not faster. But what is important here is that they are, or you can connect them through LinkedIn. It means that once you are certified, you can connect your CertView with LinkedIn, and then the verification code is posted there, so you can show, okay, this is my certification, and here is the code that validates this certification. So once you have all these accounts created, then you simply come here and check which exam you are going to take. Here, do not expect a very good assistant here. So you say, okay, I want to certify in Java. Then you write here Java. You will see 3 results, and that's all. Knowing that there are 20 or 30 ways of certifying different levels of Java. So my advice is just type the code of the certification. For example, I said 0819, and then you will see that it will show you the exam. So you will save a lot of time because the tool, from my perspective, not that friendly. Also check where do you want to take your exam. Now with COVID time and so on, it's not that easy. So if you are located in a city, usually capital of your country, then usually there is no problem because they have more than one test center. But if you are located in a non-capital city, or not that big city, or not that, I don't know, metropolitan, I don't even know what are the criteria for Oracle, there maybe you need to travel to your capital just to take the test. That's why the appointments are so not so easy to find. Another option is that you can do it online at home, but this is not as easy as you think, because you can think, okay, I'm not going to travel to Warsaw, for example, to do the certification. I'm just going to do it here at home, in my summer house with my dog at the pool and so on. No, they are also going to check. You have to send pictures about where are you taking the exam. There should not be there any electronic device. They are going to bother you. You have a TV, another monitor, another laptop, whatever that looks digital. They are not going to allow you to have that. You need to be in an isolated place with no sound, with a decent light. They need to see your face. Your camera needs to be activated the whole time. No one can talk to you. You cannot have any paper, any smartwatch, any cell phone. There are a lot of things that they are checking when you're working from home. You also need to have a stable connection. I have had this experience personally, and also with my team members, that if something happened with the net, they disconnect you and they claim fraud, and then you need to demonstrate that not, and then you lose your exam, and then you need to open a ticket, and then they will give you back the money, and then you need to reschedule again the certification. So it takes time. I'm not trying to discourage you to do the home or office test. Actually, I like also the home and office test, but it's not that easy as click a link and then just sit and do that. That's why it's also not that easy to make a fraud here. That's the reason. So, but it has its contrast, and the contrast is that it's so secure that you cannot take it so easily. You have to prepare your space. You have to prepare your laptop or equipment, the internet that you have to talk with. If you're not living alone, you have to talk with your family members or whatever and say, I cannot answer anything here. No one can enter here. If they see something suspicious in the camera, I could be canceled. These kind of things. Okay. Next recommendation, and I'm almost finishing now because I don't want to extend that much, is simulate your exam as near as possible to production, to the day of the exam. So get into this room that you're going to take the test, assuming that you're going to do it from home. Use the same amount of time. Tell to your family to disconnect or not talk to you. Like, try to assume that this is the day, right? And use a simulator that looks very similar to the way that Oracle is having in the certification exam. So I can recommend you BCA Player or Avanced. Again, if you find something better, let us know here, because that's why we are here, to share this information. But with this, you can see more or less how the type of questions are working, the selection, multiple selection or single selection, the question here. You can see, for example, how to manipulate the text fonts, or mark the question to review it later. Which question are you? You can go back and forth. This is good in these certifications. There are no other certifications that you can only go forward and you can never go back. Here in the Java certifications, you can go back and forth. So it means that when you're checking a question and you know that this is taking too much time, to just mark it and go next. Like, do not spend your time there. You will be back later. Um, yeah, and then after you install the software, or this demo software, whatever you choose, for example, BCA or whatever, then download exam files from the internet. But be careful, because there are plenty of them that are fake. You write, okay, check questions of the Java certification exam 11. You can find questions from the Java 1.4, 1.5 in those supposedly uh, Java 11 files, right? So then you will be learning, not only learning, but you will be seeing questions that are no longer valid, or that are the answer are no longer valid. That's something like, for example, an interface can have a private static method, or you can import statically an interface variable or constant. Could be a question that in 1.4 or 1.5 was totally valid, and the answer was no, it's impossible, and then you were right. And then in 11, the answer is possible, but the question is no, is you can do it. So the answers change for the same questions. So be careful. Also, there are a lot of misconfusing questions in the internet. I'm not so sure who is doing that or why, but maybe it's a strategy for the people not to make frauds in the exam. I don't know, but you're going to find a lot of garbage, so be careful. The tip that I can give you is, instead of going there and download thousands of exam files, go to the forums and check what type of not questions, but what type of, yeah, questions, but the topics as well, are most logical or probable in the Java 11 specification. So that you will see that someone would say, oh yeah, there is these questions about how to manage a network packet in Java, or how to open or create a text oriented file, or how to do a try catch with resources. These kind of things, these are more useful for you. Then you can create your own questions and then practice what kind of answers you can select from there. Also, at least in my teams, when we have different certifications, what we do is that we create a Telegram group, or whatever, a group, Discord, and then we prepare questions and exchange questions and answers, and the proofs, of course, because it's not just to write the question and answer, but also we have a Git or a way to transmit the code that proves that this answer is for this question and this is correct. And then we usually um, support that with the official website or with a book or something. So we know that maybe it's not a question that you will see exactly like that in the exam, but it totally makes sense for a specific topic. Yeah. So what to expect on the exam? Or you can find more information that I'm presenting here in this link. You can see, for example, what are the differences when you are doing the test during the test in the official location versus at home. Yeah. What are the restrictions? You need to check first your for example, if you're at home, you need to check first that your requirements are satisfied. Otherwise, they will not let you start the exam. Another experience we have had here in the team is that the certification, for example, was at 6 p.m. and then someone get connected at 5:50, but the system requirement, the checking system check requirement was not successful. So the Microsoft one was not working, or the internet speed was not stable. So the system did not allow the person to take the exam for a few. Then the person needed to go to other place and find another laptop and do a lot of things. By the time the person connected, the exam was no longer available, and he just failed the certification. So bear that in mind, and then yeah, just be prepared. Download the view view on view software. So this is a software that anyway you are going to install the day of the exam. So you can download anytime and then just test it. Um, Remember that the camera will open the whole time of the exam. So also be aware that the camera must be clean. So if they don't see you, they cancel your exam. If you close the camera, they cancel your exam. If you move out of the camera, they will send you a warning. After 2 or 3 warnings, they cancel your exam. So get used to that. And yeah, for example, you cannot open other applications. You have to disconnect from your VPN. You cannot have any other screen connected to your laptop or multiple screens or projector. This software is going to track everything. So just be honest, focus on the exam, and just have the exam running the laptop at that moment. And good luck. Yeah. So they will be recording you as well. So just in case for audit processes, they will be recording you the whole time. So please, please take a shower and have eaten before, so you will not look like that bad the day of the exam. Okay. Last tip: make a plan. What we have seen for this certification and for other certifications is that basically, if you don't plan it, you will not have it. It's very risky to just say, okay, I'm going to study, I'm going to buy the voucher, or the company is going to buy the voucher for me. Now I have the deadline is August 2022, and that's all. And then one day I will study, but we'll see. And but that day I will be presenting the exam. You're going to fail, most probable. So make a plan, a simple plan. Sit and think. Okay, how many hours per day can I work? And based on what I said, this, like, because I only have this availability, or because I know that with this amount of hours I will be there. How much, how many topics do you know that Java 11 has, and how many of them do you know? How many of them do you have no clue, and how many of them you don't master, or not master, but you are not confident? Which material are you going to use? For example, I will recommend you to check all my links here, or my YouTube channel, or our previous topics, or and so on. Which topics you should study first, where to get the exam. I strongly recommend you to create a group with other people that are certified, because it's easier for other people to see topics that you avoid, and then you say, oh yeah, I forgot this topic, to exchange materials and so on. So yeah, and do a lot of simulations. Get familiar to the time, the constraint time you have, type of questions, and etc. Yeah, okay. I think the time is over, so I'm not going to present you the technical details of Java, but what I can show you more or less here is that you can use, for example, JShell to test some of the basic things that you can be asked in Java. So once you get confident with the questions, that those questions are clearly evaluating your Java knowledge, you can quickly prove that the answers are true. So this is something that is very important in this certification, because it's not that easy as with other certifications where you just need to know the question and then by heart know the memory, by heart know the answer. In here, you don't need to learn anything by heart. Just get the question, and the question says, what happens when you have an integer who has no initialization and then you print it? It will fail, it will work and print zero, it will work and print a random value. Then don't be curious, don't be, how to say that? Don't believe without any evidence. Just go to JHL, create a Java class, and do the simple attribute in the class with no initialization, print the value, and see if it runs. And if it runs, see the value, and then you will see a consistent zero each time. Then you will realize that Java is initializing all the variables by default, which is the answer of that question, for example. I would love to share with you hundreds of questions, which we have, but I can because of legal terms. So basically, we are not allowed to share questions here in the streaming. But I invite you to do that with your teams and share internally your information about the questions and so on, and be prepared. Um, yeah. What else can I say here? Okay. Anyway, um, That's all from my side. Sorry to take too much time. I think I hope it was at least relevant for some of you and very relevant for most of you. Um, do you have any question? Do you want something? Do you want to say something about the
Okay.
certification?
Okay, David, I'm joining you to show you the questions and read them out loud because there are some questions from our viewers. Now, this one was the first. I'll show it on the screen. How does companies appreciate such certification? Piotr is asking.
Okay, so as I mentioned at the very beginning, thank you very much for the question. It's companies need to know that the project they are doing it's compatible with the software architecture, but they need to know also that the people working there have the knowledge. So there are plenty of people that say, yeah, I know Java because they just saw one day a YouTube video about Java, right? Or they were involved in one project that were having Java, but they only in this Java were only printing logs. And then you can say, yo, look, I have in my CV 1 year of experience in Java printing logs. Then the companies can think, okay, so this person has 1 year of experience of Java or not? Or the knowledge, how can I prove that the person knows Java? Not that the person is proficiency in the software development art, but just Java. How do I know that they know this Java? And the only way is through the certifications. And something pure that I mentioned is that they are not validating any certification. They are just validating this official one. So at least in the companies that I have been working in the past 15 years, I have seen that they are not accepting Java as a certification from any other entity than the official one. So if you go to your school or university or one friend print a diploma for you, nice to have, but the companies are not going to accept that as a certification. I think I hope to answer your question.
Hmm. And then there's another one that was sent to our inbox. It's, are Java certifications important for the architect role?
Correct. Yes. So thank you for the question. Yes, they are important for the certification role. Actually, I maybe not mentioned, but this certification is the base to go through different branches of certification in Java. If you check the link at the very beginning of this presentation, the path of certification from the Java perspective goes through the development, to the architecture, and through the platform. And then if you are going to take the architect role, you will have to have you need to have this certification as basis and then take other certifications for the Java architecture role. So after this one, you can take the Java architect certification, for example, which is more oriented to pattern designs and this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay, now this is a set of questions I would say that got sent to our inbox. Are you familiar with Cisco and is it worth doing it? I mean the CCNA. Would it help you find a good job? Does the certificate make any difference in salary? Does it equal promotion or more duties for the same pay?
Okay, so this is not connected with the topic, so I cannot give you that many details. For the Cisco, what I have seen in my team, but I'm not expert in that, is that the CCNA was a relevant certification at the very beginning, but now it's just now it's not a plus. Now it's just more like a common background. So basically, it's not paying more for having the CCNA, but you are not going to get the job if you don't have the certification. So now it's a bit different. So it's like in the past, if you were having a master degree or a PhD 30 years ago, you were one of a kind, right? Like no one had that. And today, I'm not saying that everyone has that, but it's normal that this you have to have one, right? So it's the same for the CCNA. At the very beginning, having that was like, oh my god, you have the Cisco certification, right? No one has that, so it was very good. It was very well paid. But now it's like a mass of maybe everybody has the Cisco certification if they are working in the Cisco area, and if you don't have it, you are basically discarded. So it means that the salaries are not raising there. But again, this is only my perception, but this is not the topic of today, so I cannot give you 100% of guarantee of what I'm saying here
Of
in that
course.
matter.
And then there is the question from Camille. I will show it for you because there is a description that I would like you to see. I have books which prepare to exam, and then there's the description. Is that mean, or does that mean those books are outdated?
No. For example, those that you are presenting here for the OCP 5, 6, and 7, so 115, 16, and 17, these are not updated, outdated. These are good books for preparation for the exam. Maybe the questions have changed a bit, but the topics and the topics are still the same, and they are also pointing the same version. So I think those particular books are okay. But if you're, for example, starting with the I don't remember Tiger. There was one popular book in 1.5. All these questions are already deprecated because the answers have changed. Java now is supporting all of these things that at that moment were not supported. Yeah. So Camille, I think this book is worth. Yeah.
Great, and I think these are all the questions that we have from our viewers. Yes, I'm checking the chat right now, but there are no new questions. So, David, thank you so much for your time and sharing your experience with us, sharing your knowledge. It was great having you here, and we hope to see you again during our next JavaCon meetups.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure for me to work with all of you. Again, if you have more material tips or questions, feel free to share with us in the social networks, and then we will be improving our knowledge, let's say, tool for other participants in the future. The idea is that I love Java, so also the idea is that more and more people get certified. So we will keep working and making this language to be alive, let's say.
Yes, let's do it. And just a reminder for you guys watching us tonight, we held a little contest today. Luxoft prepared some great stuff for you, and now I have the results. So Jan S won the headphones, and power bank goes to Katarzyna S, and Luxoft will contact the winners during the week. So please be sure to check your email accounts and or your other handles. So thank you so much, Dave, once again for meeting us tonight. And we hope to see you guys during our next meetup that we will be giving you some information very, very soon. And while you guys are waiting for the next meetup, please check out our socials. And also, if you want to, please feel free to contact David via the information that you guys can see right now on your screen. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon, we hope. Bye bye.
Thank you. Have a good day. Ciao.